for freedom. We're also bearing witness to the boldness of the women's national football team, Banyana Banyana. Without a professional league and big sponsors, Banyana Banyana have conquered the continent, and they are now making their mark on the world stage. The president calls on the leadership of the sport and those associated with the game to ensure that the equal pay for equal work principle is adhered to in football and in all women's sports. President Ramaphosa will on Friday, the 11th of August, interact with the community of Chris Hani district in the Eastern Cape province during the 9th District Development Model Presidential Imbizo, which is a continuous government program that seeks to ensure an integrated district-based service delivery approach that fast-tracks service delivery. The president will be concluding the first round of the DDM Presidential Imbizo in the Eastern Cape after interacting with communities. The community engagement will take place at the Intigayetu local municipality in Ward 8 at the Tsomo Town, Chris Hani district in the Eastern Cape. Then on the 17th of August 2023, the president will undertake a working visit to Luanda in the Republic of Angola to attend the 43rd Ordinary Summit of Heads of State and Government. The summit will take place under the theme Human and Financial Capital, the key drivers for sustainable industrialization in the SADC region. This ordinary SADC summit will be preceded by the Organ Troika on Politics, Defense, and Security Summit, which South Africa is the outgoing chair, on the 16th of August. The Troika is responsible for the promotion of peace and security in the SADC region. On the 23rd of August, the president will host his Chinese counterpart, President Xi Jinping, for a state visit, which will be hosted here at the Union Buildings. Over and above the formal talks that are aimed at strengthening bilateral relations with China, there will be a number of memorandums of agreement that will be signed on the day. And just a message of condolences to the family of former Ivorian President Hendrik Conan Bedi. President Ramaphosa has, on behalf of the government and the people of South Africa, extended condolences to the Bedi family, the government, and the people of the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire following the passing of the former Ivorian President, Mr. Hendrik Conan Bedi. Mr. Bedi served as the Ivorian president from 1993 until 1999. A visit by former President Bedi to South Africa in September 1998 was the first by an Ivorian head of state. Through that visit, deeper relations between the two countries were forged. The passing of former President Bedi comes at a time when our continent faces great challenges which require continental cooperation and countries to unite to advance the goals of the African Union for peace, security, and development. Just a bit of a recap on the recent international program, starting with the working visit to the Russian Federation. President Ramaphosa concluded a successful working visit to the Russian Federation, where together with leaders of African countries, a clear call for tangible and mutually beneficial and effective cooperation between Russia and the countries of the African continent was made during the second Russia-Africa Summit, which took place in the country's cultural capital, St. Petersburg. The president welcomed the summit declaration that included cooperation in a number of strategic areas, including science and technology, energy, trade and investments, and defense and security cooperation. The president further highlighted the importance of a monitoring and evaluation mechanism that will assess the level and pace of implementation of the summit commitments. The president concluded his working visit in Russia with a bilateral meeting with President Putin to look at a strategic partnership in several areas of cooperation, including energy, industry, and agriculture. The discussions further sought to strengthen the two countries' cooperation in the areas of education, science, and technology, with a particular focus on space and satellite technology development. As you will know also, there were meetings in Russia with regard to the African Peace Initiative. On the 28th of July in St. Petersburg, the leaders of the countries leading the African Peace Initiative and the president of the Russian Federation continued their discussions on the African Peace Initiative, which they started on the 17th of June this year. In attendance were President Azali Assoumani of the Comoros in his capacity as the chair of the African Union, President Ramaphosa, obviously, President Denis Sassou Nguesso of the Republic of Congo, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi of the Republic of Egypt, President Macky Sall of the Republic of Senegal, President Yoweri Museveni of the Republic of Uganda, and the Foreign Minister of Zambia, Stanley Kakubo. The leaders recognized the progress achieved since then on proposals they discussed at the first meeting on the 17th of June 2023 on humanitarian issues, in particular related to the rights of children in the areas of armed activities and prisoner exchange between Russia and Ukraine, particularly related to the rights of children in the areas of armed activities and prisoner exchange between Russia and Ukraine, and agreed that humanitarian efforts will continue to bring further results. And the leaders called for specific steps to remove obstacles to Russian grain and fertilizer exports, thus allowing the resumption of the full implementation of the Black Sea Package Initiative of the United Nations Secretary General that was endorsed on the 22nd of July in Istanbul. The leaders of the United Nations Secretary General that was endorsed on the 22nd of July in Istanbul. The leaders also called on the United Nations to take necessary action in order to release 200,000 tons of Russian fertilizer blocked in the European Union seaports for immediate and free delivery to African countries. The leaders agreed to continue their dialogue on the African Peace Initiative so that a door to peace can be opened. And just to clarify, there's an article that led with the headline today that said the leaders supported Russia's pulling out of the Black Sea Grain Initiative. That is a little bit inaccurate. As I've stated now, that the calls that were made to enable that process, if anything, the leaders did impress upon President Putin to work together with the United Nations to ensure that we revive the Black Sea Grain Initiative as we've had before. Yesterday, on the 2nd of August, President Ramaphosa held a telephone discussion with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada. The Prime Minister expressed his deep appreciation for the 600 South African firefighters that demonstrated excellence and diligence during their support in fighting the wildfires that ravaged parts of Canada. Prime Minister Trudeau offered Canada's support should South Africa experience disasters in the near future. The Prime Minister also expressed his appreciation for South Africa's contribution to the African Peace Initiative to Ukraine and Russia, and committed his support to finding a peaceful solution to the conflict. Both leaders agreed to continue their bilateral cooperation and to further collaborate in 2025 when Canada will be hosting the G7 summit, while South Africa will be hosting the G20 summit. And finally, just an update on the Lady R panel investigation. The panel concluded its investigations on the 18th of July as per the established deadline. There was a submission that arrived late, which caused a minor delay. However, the chair of the panel, Judge Phineas Japelo, did not request a deadline extension. By the end of business tomorrow, the report will be completed and will be ready to be handed to the president as soon as his schedule permits. Once the president has consumed the report, he will then decide on the actions to be followed as guided by the report, and on the aspects of the report that will be made public. Okay, colleagues, that is on the program. I'm happy to take questions. Gert. There's a mic there for you.
Gert van the Westhuizen Netwerk 24. Would the president care to comment on all these things said about the Kill the Boer song from people like that American entrepreneur, what is it called, Elon Musk, with the DA, that says he can't keep silent on it and he must do something and he must even institute a commission of inquiry? I would just like your comment on that, Vincent, please.
Yeah, you know, let me start with Mr. Elon Musk's tweet. I think it will be good and helpful. Elon Musk's tweet. I think it will be good and helpful if Mr. Musk will apply a similar amount of effort in highlighting a lot of the positive things that are taking place in South Africa currently, and a lot of the positives that our nation has experienced since the advent of democracy. From the government's point of view, our focus as a government is to leave no one behind. And this means leaving no one behind in terms of the challenges anyone may face in the country. It also means leaving no one behind when it comes to working together to develop solutions and grow our country together. In leaving no one behind, we are fostering inclusivity, social cohesion, shared prosperity, and a caring society. This, we believe, resonates with the task that we face of growing our economy, developing opportunities for all, and building a united, non-racial, non-sexist, and prosperous South Africa. This matter has been before the courts. It is still before the courts. We should allow that process to run its course. We have our own understanding of that song, both from a historical point of view. However, for the president to establish a commission of inquiry on a matter that is before the court is not going to be of any help or constructive in any shape or form. Vital?
Vitaly Marks from the agency. It's about the African Peace Initiative on Ukraine. In 2 days' time, it seems we'll be meeting in Jeddah, in Saudi Arabia. And what is the purpose of the South African representative to assist this meeting? And if it will be discussed also the African initiative on this meeting in Jeddah?
Yeah, Vitaly, the president is on record having said, together with his African counterparts that are involved in the African Peace Initiative, do recognize that there are other initiatives, peace initiatives that are aimed at assisting the two warring parties arrive at a peaceful resolution of the conflict. That recognition means as and when South Africa is invited to participate in these other processes, we will do so. The meeting in Jeddah is a continuation of a gathering that was held in Copenhagen a couple of weeks ago or several weeks ago. And South Africa participated at a national security advisor level. And we will continue to participate in various efforts that seek to galvanize the international community behind supporting a peaceful resolution to that conflict. Madam, can you please pass the mic?
from Channel Africa. We've seen reports that the Prime Minister of India might not make it for the BRICS summit. Is the presidency aware of these reports?
We've seen those reports. The president is due to have a conversation with the Prime Minister of India. To date, we have not received any official information coming from the Indian government giving any substance to those reports. Kujo, any questions on the WhatsApp line?
And Khatlani said the following two questions. South Africa is a member of the AU Peace and Security Council. Has the Peace and Security Council discussed the situation in West Africa after the coup d'etat? Thus far on the BRICS summit, only the Russian President Vladimir Putin is not attending. How many states have confirmed that they are attending?
So far, all participating countries in BRICS have confirmed their participation. As I've said now, with respect to the Indian Prime Minister, we have not received any official communication that gives substance to the media reports that are currently doing the rounds. And so that's, as it stands, all member states or all BRICS members are participating at a head of state level until we are informed otherwise. With respect to the situation in West Africa, I'm not quite certain whether the Peace and Security Council has convened. I am aware that ECOWAS, which is the West African regional body, is attending to the situation, and ECOWAS has communicated its desire, which is echoed by ourselves as South Africa and by many leaders on the continent, that we would like to see an urgent return to a democratic dispensation in Niger, and we would like to see a restoration of democratic order in that country. Another question?
Karien Duplessis, Reuters, asks, a few weeks ago, Minister Pandor said that Chinese President Xi Jinping was the only president to have confirmed the attendance of BRICS thus far, with others expressing interest in attending. It's the same question. Have any more presidents confirmed attendance since? Yeah.
Yeah, let's just go with my previous response.
Okay.
Another question?
Okay, that's still writing now. Jason Felix. Jason Felix from News 24 asked 3 questions. Has the president received the open letter from John Steenhuisen around the EFF leader Julius Malema's comments and singing of the "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer"? What is the president's view on this? Has he responded to the letter? The second question, has the president expressed the view on Malema singing "Killing the Boer, kill the farmer"? Is he concerned that these utterances could seriously polarize the nation? The third question, has the president discussed with Deputy President Paul Mashatile the irregular contracts the Deputy President's sons and their associates allegedly received from the Gauteng provincial government? And then his fourth question says, the DA-led administration in the Western Cape has been pushing its provincial powers bill, which will see certain functions from the national government be devolved to the province. What is the presidency's view on this? And is the presidency willing to have the DA-led government devolve certain functions from the national to them?
Okay, so let's start with that last question. That exercise will be effective as to the extent that it complies with our constitutional provisions. So there's not much that we can comment in that regard. With respect to Mr. Malema's issue, I have responded to that question. the other question was with regards to, just remind me again. The open letter for the DA. I think my response covers that. I think my response covers that.
With the DP's question?
On the DP's question, so far what we have are media reports. We don't have anything that will require the president's action at this stage. We have media reports pointing to those issues. We understand that the Gauteng provincial government is looking into those matters. So the issue of contract and their wording is an administrative matter that the province will attend to. At this stage, there is nothing in that information that requires any particular action from the side of the president.
There's a follow-up question from Nobuhle Simelani. She asks, if the Indian Prime Minister is coming, will that not feed into the perception that the BRICS summit is not solid, it's not a solid bloc that could challenge Western powers?
Well, first of all, BRICS has not been set up to challenge Western powers. Second of all, that's a speculative question, and I can't give a speculative answer to a speculative question. Let's rather remain with the facts as they stand, that we have not received any official information from the Indian government saying anything contrary to what we understand is the attendance of the summit. Should we be informed otherwise, we will then make the necessary announcement, but it will not be helpful for me to engage or perpetuate further speculation around the issue. Tandla?
Is the president concerned with the growing issues of illegal mining? There's been calls for the army to be deployed to address the issue.
Yes, there are concerns, not only with illegal mining, but the subsequent violence that seems to characterize these activities, the loss of lives that seems to be a feature around these illegal activities. We are equally encouraged, though, by the progress that the members of the South African Police Services are making in this regard. Number of arrests have been effected between April and March, between April of last year and March of this year, where over close to or about 1,199 illegal miners have been arrested to date. Significant chunk of ammunition, vehicles, trucks, tools also seized. And so with respect to the state's response to these activities and the subsequent violence, we are encouraged by the level of that response, and we are certain that the police will continue acting in this regard. Okay, looks like we're done. No one is typing there, Kujo, right?
Yeah, we received more questions.
Oh, have we received more questions?
Amanda Koza from Sunday Times, as well as Lunga, asked the same question, and it's about allegations made by Mr. Malema, where he alleged that the president has given an instruction to SARS to look at the tax affairs of those who attended the recent EFF gala dinner. And then she has a follow-up question which asks, when is the president expected to speak to the Indian Prime Minister?
I think we should be used by now to Mr. Malema's well-known practice of dishing out wild allegations into the public domain without providing any substantiation. It's an unfortunate practice that should be used to by now and be able to ignore. SARS has issued a very stern statement with regard to that matter. SARS is an independent tax collection body. So at no point in time will the president ever be involved in directing SARS in its operations or directing SARS to act against particular individuals. SARS is guided by its enabling act, and SARS follows the prescripts of that enabling law with respect to how it operates, how it conducts its investigations where necessary, and how it collects taxes. And at no point is the president and how it collects taxes. And at no point is the president ever involved in directing the operations of any state agency, be it SARS or any other agency for that matter. So those allegations should be dismissed with the contempt that they deserve.
We have a question from Lindsay Dittlinger from Eyewitness News. She writes, how does the president feel about the public protector's report on Palapala being taken on legal review by the ATM?
Taking public protector's reports on review is part of due process. It's nothing extraordinary. It's not the first time that a report by the public protector has been subject to a review, and it's not the last time. So it's part of our due process. I've got a question here by Freddie Rappin of the Sunday Times, where she wants to know who made submissions to the Lady R panel, and was evidence obtained from people more broadly than state officials. And I think I've had this discussion with Freddie before, that we will not divulge, or we are not in a position to divulge any details of the witnesses that have come forward to make submissions and present evidence. We will also not get into discussion with respect to the identities of those who provided evidence or the nature of that evidence. I'm just looking here because the questions I'm also getting here. Okay, Sisanda is raising a question I've dealt with. Just bear with me, colleagues. So Paul Vecchiato from Bloomberg wants to know what other action will be taken by South Africa, such as raising the issue with the AU and other actions. This is with respect to the strong worded statement South Africa issued about the coup in Niger. Saudi Arabia is to host a peace summit about Ukraine in the next few days. Will South Africa or the Africa Peace Initiative be attending? I've responded to that question. And the Ukrainian president has said that he hopes to host a peace summit in the next few months. When that is finalized, will South Africa and the Africa Peace Initiative attend? I think I've addressed that question, Paul, with respect to, firstly, our recognition as South Africa, but also including the heads of states that are part of the African Peace Initiative, of the existing or other existing initiatives that are aimed at assisting the warring parties to that conflict arrive at a peaceful resolution of a particular conflict. And what that means is, as and when we are invited to participate in other initiatives, we will do so because we do realize there is value in getting as many possible participants and areas of the international community to assist with finding a peaceful resolution to that conflict. And yes, South Africa will be participating in the summit in Jeddah, as we have participated in the initial one in Copenhagen. I think that answers Paul. Yeah, I think that's it, Kujo, on my side.
We have a question from Tolim Gambi from Newsroom Africa. He asked, the SAPC takedown approach on the Zamazamas is clearly not helping because they appear to move from one area to the next. Is there a holistic approach to this matter?
I'm not sure what information or evidence Koli is referencing in concluding that the SAPS approach is not helping. I've just mentioned the number now of the amount of individuals that have been arrested. I've mentioned items that were seized. It's not something. It's a very complex issue, and it's not an issue that's going to be resolved overnight, Koli. What we need to appreciate now is that it's a matter that's being attended to, and it's being attended to with the urgency that it deserves, with commensurate resources to the challenge, and it has the attention of our government at the highest level. And so it's still early and somewhat premature for any of us to start reaching conclusions that the approach that is currently and maybe for Koli's benefit, I should just repeat these numbers in more detail. 1,199 illegal miners were arrested between the period of April 2022 and the 31st of March 2023. And there's a breakdown of various nationalities. 1.8 million cash has been seized, 9,991 rounds of ammunition, 177 vehicles, 7 trucks, 771 digging tools, 5 TLPs, 233 pendugas, and 700 and, okay, I've mentioned the digging tools. All of these were seized during the various operations that have been undertaken by SAPS. And since May ensured the establishment of the Economic Infrastructure Task Team, 20 teams have been set up in hotspot areas to combat illegal mining, prevent damage to critical and essential infrastructure, as well as extortion on construction sites. So this is an ongoing process. The challenge is being attended to. Government is aware of the problem, as I've said, and a significant amount of resources have been thrown to the resolution of this issue. So, Koli, let's be patient, but it is very early for anybody to conclude that the approach that has been taken is not helping. Okay, I think we're done. Thank you very much, colleagues. We'll see you soon.